Welcome back to session 3 of this course on EQ. I'm psychologist Dr. Tracy. In the last session, we assessed our ego strength and how it's an important component of self-awareness. In this session, we'll continue to focus on self-awareness and break down our shadow self. You will need pen and paper, so if you don't have it, go ahead and pause and come back when you're ready. We can look at the shadow self in two different ways. We can see it as the bad parts of us, the characteristics we don't like about ourselves. It's the side of us that we like to keep hidden and, well, in the shadows. I will go through some examples slowly, and I want you to write down if any of these characteristics apply to you. So some examples of shadow selves and qualities that we want to keep hidden. This would be anger or being angry, being aggressive, sarcastic, insecure, jealous, dishonest, irresponsible, unreliable, controlling, disloyal, dramatic, vindictive, selfish, lazy, obsessive, prideful, egotistical, judgmental, argumentative, being a complainer, pessimistic, having low self-esteem or confidence, being ignorant, mean, rude, jealous. These are examples of traits that we usually try to keep hidden from others. Now, the other way to look at the shadow self is to look at the qualities we had naturally as a child, the truest parts of us that got covered up, discarded, or shoved down through our experiences in life. This could include good qualities that just didn't serve us well and may have contributed to us being hurt in some way. This could also include qualities that weren't accepted or encouraged by our parents or other people. We may have even gotten into trouble or were disciplined for these qualities. I'll review some of these examples, and please write down any that may apply to you. This could be being trusting, generous, giving, naive, nice, sensitive, emotional, vulnerable, honest, shy, it could also include things like being too loud or too talkative or too quiet or even too happy or being too positive. I was told as a kid I laughed too much. How crazy is that? It was true, but To think of that now is so sad for people to tell you to stop laughing. So the problem with our shadow self is that no matter how well we try to hide it, it's still always with us, and nothing stays hidden forever. Continuing to struggle with and ignore our shadow self can cause us many problems in life. It can create a domino effect of destruction. It can start with internal conflict, confusion, indecisiveness, guilt, regret, shame, embarrassment. This can lead us to a life of disappointment and being unsatisfied and not being true to ourselves, which that can lead to damaging and self-sabotaging behavior. It's like trying to escape with drugs or alcohol, or we start having symptoms of depression, anxiety, or another mental illness. Or we start relying too much on defense mechanisms like avoidance, repression, denial, projection, and all in an effort to protect ourselves. Although all we've really accomplished is that no one else can hurt us, but we can sure hurt ourselves. And all of this just because we can't admit to ourselves that we're angry or jealous or too sensitive. Well, I can tell you that if our ego can't take this, then we probably have much deeper psychological issues to deal with, like figuring out why our ego is so fragile and not strong enough to handle any sort of challenge to it. This is why it's important to identify and integrate our shadow self to make ourselves whole, which can help us be accepting and loving to ourselves. So let's begin to identify what traits make up your shadow self. You may have already started by identifying with some of the examples I've already given, but to explore this further, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'd like you to write down your answers. Again, after each question, if you need more time, pause the recording and start again when you're ready. The first question is, what are the qualities you don't like about yourself? The next question is, what qualities do you have that you don't want other people to see? Now you should have a pretty good idea of what your shadow self looks like. Seeing all the negative parts of us in black and white can be a bit daunting, but please remember that every single one of us has both positive and negative qualities, and that's just part of being human. We can certainly improve upon the negative qualities, but they're not useless to us. Sometimes we need to be selfish. Being angry at times is a normal human emotion. Feeling insecure can keep us humble. And laughing too loudly or being too positive or too trusting, well, that may really be other people's problems and not ours. The key is that these qualities are balanced with our positive ones. We also want our positive qualities to outweigh the negative ones by being more prominent in our life. So we're going to focus on those shadow self qualities that are causing us problems. These are the ones that we can work on changing. So I want you to circle the traits that you wrote that cause you the most problems in your life. And you can go ahead and pause and come back when you're ready. Now, the traits you just circled are obviously the ones you're able to freely acknowledge, even if it's difficult. But it's the traits we refused to identify that could be causing us the most problems. Think of the traits that other people say about you that they have a problem with. For example, we could get into an argument with a partner and they tell us we are inconsiderate or selfish. A parent may tell us that we are irresponsible or lazy. A friend may say we're judgmental or spiteful. We may not agree, but these traits should be considered. Maybe we just don't want it to be true, which goes back to poor ego development and leads to denial. But go ahead and write down any of these traits, the ones that other people accuse you of having that you may not agree with. You can pause and come back when you're ready. Now, it's important to note that not everything other people tell us is truthful. Unfortunately, there are people who can say things just to hurt us, so we want to weed those opinions out. To do this, always consider the source of information. There are 3 key questions to ask yourself here, and you might want to write these down because this could serve you very well in the future when trying to determine how much weight to give somebody else's opinion. The first question is, do they have my best interest at heart? Do they have my best interest at heart? The second one is, do they have good intentions? Do they have good intentions? And the third one is, do they love or care about me? Do they love or care about me? We certainly do not have to take in and accept words from people who don't meet all 3 of these requirements. Regardless of if that person is a partner, spouse, friend, in fact, maybe that relationship should be reevaluated if the answer is no to even one of these questions. Now, I want you to cross out any traits you just wrote down that came from people that if you answered no to any of these questions for those people, and they're the ones who told you this about yourself, go ahead and cross those traits out. We're not going to give them any weight. You can pause and come back if needed. Now we're going to go even deeper psychologically. Think about what you don't like in others. Traits you just can't stand or find annoying or repulsive. Without further thought or judgment of your own, go ahead and write these traits down. The traits that you don't like in others, that really get under your skin. If you need more time, you can pause. Now take a look at these qualities, and with as much objectivity as possible, ask yourself if you also have any of these qualities. What we don't like in others is often what we sometimes unconsciously don't like within ourselves. This is also what causes projection, the defense mechanism of projection. Their traits may not be as bad as yours, but don't discount that. We're not comparing. We're just looking for similarities. Like if maybe being conceited is a trait you don't like in others. Theirs may be overly conceited and maybe yours is a lot less, but don't discount that because it's less. Go ahead and circle any traits of others that could be similar to yours. Again, it doesn't have to be the same, but similar. And you can pause if you need more time going through the list. Now you should have 3 lists of traits. You have 1 list of the ones you identified in yourself. The second list are the traits that other people identified in you. And the third list is the ones you identified in other people. This is your shadow self. We're all a work in progress, and we all have a shadow self. We can't afford to deny these traits. It's better to acknowledge them and either accept them, make it work for us rather than against us, or change it, because we can't fix what we don't acknowledge. This is the end of session 3. In the next session, we'll move on to the next domain of EQ, which is empathy. In the course classroom, please ask questions and provide feedback. Thank you.